Thank you, Chairman Reed. Thank you for holding this important hearing, and I want to thank the nominees for being here today, your willingness to serve. So we'll just get right into it about cybersecurity, of course, utmost top of everybody's mind, and I'd like to focus particularly on NATO and cybersecurity, an issue I raised with Admiral Grady during his confirmation hearing, and one that came up consistently when I had the chance to visit NATO headquarters on a congressional delegation in November. So, Dr. Wallander, as you know, cybersecurity is part of NATO's core task of collective defense. Given rising threats of cyber attacks, of course we know, from Russia and China, NATO's efforts to protect allied networks and enhance resilience across the alliance through information sharing and joint exercises, of course, has become more critical than ever. So again, Dr. Wallander confirmed, how would the Department of Defense collaborate with our NATO allies to prevent, mitigate, and recover from cyber attacks targeting our critical infrastructure, our energy grids, our water grids, our pipelines? We know that we've seen cyber attacks in the past. What would you be doing to collaborate with NATO, please?
Senator, thank you for your question highlighting this important aspect of NATO common defense and the challenge to NATO security. Many of our NATO allies were in the forefront in recognizing Russia's use of the cyber domain for assault, and so the partnership with those allies has proven very helpful in the last couple of years as Russia has upped its activities in this domain. If confirmed, I would work with Dr. Plum's office, if confirmed, to make sure that we have both the functional and regional expertise to effectively engage with NATO allies in order to make sure that we coordinate not just government resources, but one of the challenges that you know is that much of the cyber infrastructure is private, is commercial. And Europe faces that challenge just as the United States does. So I think our best common practices are not just from the Defense Department, but also would require a whole-of-government approach and coordination with the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I sit on the Homeland Security Committee. We just had a hearing on this recently with CISA talking about how they are planning to try to take care of some of these issues. So I hope you continue to work with them. But I'd like to move on, Dr. Wallander, to issues about Iranian aggression, because they're still out there. And I've noted in previous hearings, Iranian-backed militias, well, they're increasingly targeting U.S. installations and service members in both Iraq and Syria via rocket and drone attacks. Iran, we don't have to, can't say this enough, it's the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, continues to be a threat to the United States and allied interests via its ballistic missile program and support for Hezbollah and other terrorist proxies. So can you discuss the threat of Iranian-backed militias in the Middle East, the threat they pose to our U.S. troops and allies, and if confirmed, how would you use your existing DoD authorities to target these malign groups and proactively protect our personnel?
Senator, I very much share your concern. A lot of our focus in public tends to be on Iran's nuclear weapons program, and that is, concerning. But we can't lose sight of the fact that Iran is actively supporting groups that strike at American personnel installations and capabilities in the region and undermine our ability to responsibly implement counterterrorism missions in the region. If confirmed, I will focus on the partner relations in the region to work with them to make sure that we are doing everything necessary to counter Iran's activities and to undermine them, but also to do an evaluation within DoD to make sure we are properly resourced and postured. And I would cooperate with some of the other offices, in particular those involved in special operations, the functional offices in the Department of Defense.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to you, Ms. Dalton, about the DoD cyber strategy. I understand, if confirmed, you'll serve as the chief civilian advisor to the Secretary of Defense on cybersecurity. And so given the large number of federal agencies responsible for protecting the homeland from cyber threats, what would you define as the Department of Defense appropriate role in addressing our nation's cybersecurity? And separately, if confirmed, how would you strengthen that interagency collaboration to ensure coordinated approaches going forward?
Senator, thank you for highlighting the critical challenge of cybersecurity and the department's role. The department is the sector risk management agency for the Defense Industrial Base. And so if confirmed, I would look forward to stewarding of those authorities, those responsibilities in close coordination with the Department of Homeland Security, the intelligence community, U.S. Cyber Command, and other components to protect our critical infrastructure, our relationships with the private sector, our critical supply chains. All of these are unfortunately experiencing threats. And so ensuring we have the requisite protections and resilience going forward will be a priority of mine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Rosen. Senator Kelly, please.